good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. It's been a lovely day of listening to some great voices on the telecom, digital play, the economy, the prospects, opportunities, challenges, and so on and so forth. I think there is no doubt that this is a boost to economy, and we are really talking about something that's where India will take lead and will be at the helm, hopefully, very soon when you talk about the digital play out of sorts. Now, telecom reforms and digital infrastructure and driving digital India. That's the topic that we will be discussing today. In the next 1 hour, we will have a series of experts who will join us and deliberate on this very interesting topic, which is very topical too, from the news point after what the government has done in terms of bringing in a policy or a reform in the space. Mr. Agrawal, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Swati. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my real pleasure to interact with all of you at this session on telecom reforms and digital infrastructure for driving digital India. I'm also very pleased to welcome Shri Hariranjan Rao, the Joint Secretary in the Department of Telecom. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to all the colleagues from our industry. And the topic for today's session, what Swati spoke about, is extremely relevant in the current context and what was being discussed in the previous panel discussion as well, and truly highlights the importance of telecom as a sector. The role of the telecom sector has always been extremely critical for the economy, and especially now, as all of us have seen post the pandemic. The sector clearly has come to the rescue by ensuring education, work from home, healthcare, and banking services remain accessible through these times. And the pandemic has also shown all of us that the digital connectivity is critical and works as the backbone of the economy. And the sector plays a crucial role in our quest to transform the lives of our populace by changing the way we communicate, disseminate knowledge, as well as changing the business processes. The progress which has been enabled by the advancement of mobile phones, digital technology, has been unparalleled across several sectors, especially for education, empowerment, governance, agriculture, healthcare, and rural outreach. And the accomplishment of the Digital India program really rests on the robustness of its telecom sector. And therefore, the sector is expected to play an extremely critical role in making India an emerging global economic power. And to enable a robust sector, a robust digital and telecom sector, a rapid acceleration in the creation of digital infrastructure will be an effective tool to bringing back economic growth as well as employment. And investments in digital infrastructure can unlock both long-term growth as well as reap other benefits. Plus, if you think about it, the spend in digital infrastructure provides almost double the return on investment as compared to investment in physical infrastructure. And this looks like a really plausible approach wherein a whole lot of focus is required. If we analyze the GDP spend on telcos by top global economies and benchmark based on the top global digital infrastructure programs, India has to spend at least $35 billion annually on digital infrastructure to achieve its vision to be among the top 5 global economies. And this requires a great level of focus as we move forward. And in a bid to boost this telecom sector and enable it becoming a backbone to the country, all of us at CII have been actively working towards this vision with the National Committee on Telecom and Broadband. This committee has been working relentlessly towards the themes of globally relevant 5G ecosystem, digital infrastructure build out, accelerating the impact of policies, the policies which have been announced but have still fallen short in terms of implementing it. So there is a subcommittee on that, on digital security, as well as on digital transformation from an infrastructural perspective. And I'm sure today's session will help us deliberate more on the needs for digital infrastructure development, as well as on the importance of these telecoms to drive investments in the sector. And it would be an honor to listen to Shri Hariranjan Rao and his perspective on the government's plan to further boost the sector as he delivers this address. With this, I would like to invite and hand over to Shri Rao for his keynote address, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agarwal. It's been for me an honor to be present here. And as I'm representing Secretary Telecom, I think the mantle is quite large and the responsibility is quite huge on me. But I'm confident that we will be able to do justice to the whole effort. First of all, the topic of today's discussion, telecom reforms and digital infrastructure, I don't think we could have got a better subject to discuss at this point of time, because only 10 days back, very major reform package has been announced by the government in telecom sector, and I think something you can call it a refreshing change from what we have been hearing in the sector for a very long time. So that clearly shows the commitment that the government has towards this sector and the realization of the fact that this is the backbone. And as you very rightly mentioned, that this has been amply proved in the past 2 years of COVID pandemic, when this was one sector which stood like rock, taking the onslaught and still delivering without even a single murmur. So I think therefore the time has come to give the sector the due it deserves. Now let's look at some of the major reforms that have happened in the last couple of years and how it is going to impact the digital infrastructure growth in the country. So the first and foremost reform that has happened is in terms of providing the cash flow and liquidity to our telecom companies, whether in terms of moratorium or in terms of bank guarantees for licensing spectrum. You see, ultimately, as you rightly pointed out, in the core telecom infrastructure, we have 3 players in the private sector and BSNL and MTNL 2 players in the public sector. Now, these 4 put together have to do the maximum investment. And there are, of course, some ISPs and a couple of other players in specific domains catering to enterprises. But these are the bulk of the players. Now, the moment government gives them the liquidity and ease of cash flow, it has to immediately get converted into freed up capital that has to be flowed back into infrastructure development. Now, what kind of infrastructure we are looking forward to? I think first is tower infra, because there is a starving of tower infra right now. Then huge rollout of optical fiber cables, and then data centers and cloud computing, and then even the next gen satellite technologies. All these investments will start happening because the companies will have some cash flow available, and they must plan for this rollout immediately. And I'm sure they're already on the job. They've gone back to the drawing boards, planning their infra rollout now. And this has a beautiful cycle, because the moment big companies start playing their infra rollout, the manufacturing industry gets a kick, because a lot of Indian manufacturing companies who have already been waiting for their time to come can now jump into the entire development bandwagon and they can start moving. Timing of the PLI scheme, I must say, is something which has phenomenally getting fitted into this, because in the PLI scheme, we are expecting Indian telecom manufacturing to grow to such a level that we substantially reduce our dependence on export, and we start reduce our dependence on imports, and we start exporting in a very big way. So, and the response in the PLI scheme has been very good. Very shortly, we will hopefully issue the sanction orders for all the companies to start manufacturing. And then you have these reforms coming in where the companies now have the cash to place orders and go for expansion plan. You see, if you look at India as a geography, out of almost 6 lakh villages, now only around 25,000 villages have remained which are still not having mobile connectivity. Otherwise, almost 90%, more than 95% villages are having the mobile connectivity. Now the time has come where we have to just make that last push of covering every village in the country, putting fiber in every village of the country, and every citizen having that access to good quality broadband that would become almost like a right now. So I would expect the new industry investments in three broad segments. One is in the case of cellular, second would be in the field of Wi-Fi and broadband, and third would be in the case of satellite. And in case of broadband Wi-Fi, both licensed as well as unlicensed. And this has to now grow at a very, very fast pace. Now the time has come that all the players can put the information together in one common platform, and by law and by education, we can make it mandatory that anybody who wants to dig anywhere has to cross-check whether there is any utility, whether any telecom fiber going underneath before I dig. And when we develop a platform for this, something which we are working here in the Ministry of Telecom right now in the National Broadband Mission, to think of such a platform so that call before you dig becomes a reality in India. So I rest my case here. I would only want to say that from the Department of Telecom, I want to give the industry that confidence and assurance that the turning point in this telecom sector has come, and digital infrastructure penetration and growth is the way forward. We cannot wait for it anymore. Thank you.
Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you very much for your very encouraging words. I think you've summed it up very well of what the importance is of this very, very strategic sector and the government's role so far, and the kind of outlook you've given, confidence you've given of how the government is going to be committed to ensuring that we do walk the talk. All the points that you mentioned are pretty interesting, sir, and I'm sure the panelists will have quite a lot to take back. All right, so let me just welcome other guests on the panel. As we know, Mr. Anand Agarwal is the chairman, CII National Committee on Telecom Broadband. You heard him. He gave the welcome address, and then we are also joined by Mr. Akhil Gupta, Vice Chairman, Bharti Enterprises, Mr. Jagdish Mitra, Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Growth, Tech Mahindra, and Mr. Parag Nayak, who's the co-founder and CEO of Shankya Labs. Gentlemen, thank you very much. So let's straight get to the point. I think we've got the message loud and clear from the government's end. The reforms have been laid out. Lots of interesting points and key takeaways from there. But the industry, how is industry taking this? Of course, we did have a series of first reaction kind of a situation when these were announced on the 15th of September and onwards. There have been a lot of editorials and write-ups on it. But let me straight come to you, Mr. Gupta, and get a sense from you and your perspective over how are we seeing, and are these reforms that have been announced, are they enough? Is there more that the government should do? Of course, the industry comes now parallel to supporting what the government is trying to do. But do you think there's more that the government needs to do?
Reforms which have been announced are absolutely transformational and very bold. So let me not take away that thunder by saying that more can be done, because it's an ongoing evolution. Obviously, much more can always be done over a period of time. Levies need to be corrected, etc., etc. But I don't think we should try and dilute the effect of what has been done by the government, because otherwise this sector could have become a two private player race. And we believe we are one of them, but it's not good for the country. We do need to have three players, and I think these reforms have absolutely ensured that. What needs to be done is not a part of so-called reform, but the fact that none of these reforms will be effective unless the financial health of this sector on a sustainable basis is good. And the only way of doing that is increase in revenues and thereby increase in profit, right? Which will leave money for actual investment besides the deferment of the installments. So the urgent need is to increase tariffs. These are absolutely unsustainable. We need to go to 200 rupees ARPU as the first pause, and ultimately 300 if we want a decent return on capital employed in this industry. Now, whether that can be done by imposing a floor tariff or by the operators doing it themselves, ideally the operators should do it themselves. But for whatever reason, if they are not able to do it, I think maybe the TRAI might have to step in.
But Mr. Mitra, let me come to you, because we are talking of a lot of investments that need to come in the digital infrastructure space and so on. You heard Mr. Rao talk about now the expectations from the industry. The government has done its bit The industry has to respond. What is it that the industry is readying now to do when it comes to commitment on investments in infrastructure?
I think from a perspective, there are 2 points. One, I would want to take from what Mr. Gupta said, Mr. Akhil Gupta said about ARPU and the equivalent of it, as specifically from our point of view as part of being Tech Mahindra and doing a lot of work that we do with telecom companies around the world. Absolutely agree with him that you look at the difference between the ARPUs that some of our customers gain in the West versus some of the customers that we have here, right? And it automatically shows in the level of investment and therefore the new technologies that are being dropped. The only point I would like to make is that as we had done, I think with the some of the relaxations and the tax benefits and the PLI scheme, all of these combined that are coming from the government, I think there's a scope for us to look at where the ARPU will come from. And it's an important part of our discussion. It doesn't mean that we don't need infrastructure. We need infrastructure. But ARPU by itself, I'm just trying to, your question back to Mr. Rao, and I'm trying to see if there is a middle ground. Because while the government's prerogative is mobility for all, I mean, mobile business for all, access to actually, we still have enough number of districts and villages where we need coverage, where we need people to be able to access mobility. And therefore, digital inclusion becomes a critical part of this whole journey. But that can also be achieved through especially what I think is an opportunity around applications and innovation that will drive ARPU. So ARPU need not be only about, at the end of the day, of basic telephony services, but also about creating content, video, messaging. We started talking about AR, VR, all of these services that will get offered on that infrastructure and the innovation around it will help our ARPU to drive. So I think there's a big opportunity for the ecosystem around the telecom industry to start to develop and play a bigger role in helping the ARPU go up.
Mr. Naik, let me come to you, and then I'll of course go back to Mr. Agarwal. The kind of, again, because it's very topical and the government has talked about its intention to intervene in this sector and kind of get it out of the woods, the issues that it has seen. How excited and enthused are you with the opportunities that you're seeing and the response to this now in terms of the business growing for you guys? And I did see some of the concerns that you had raised post the PLI scheme had come out on, some bits about capping R&D, etc. may not go down very well. So I want to get your perspective on how you see these reforms.
Sure, Swati. Thanks to you and Anand for inviting me here with this august audience. Like you rightly said, there are two aspects to it, right? So there's a supply part and there's a demand part. Right? On the demand part, I think in India we have been spectacularly successful since '99. The NTP 99 actually led to all of the all of the innovations on the service side and on the cost reduction and large proliferation of telecom connectivity. But we have done very little so far on the supply side. That's basically building a supply chain in India and actually building the innovations. Taking off from where Jagdish said, it is important that innovations, technological innovations, and indigenous IPR creation and manufacturing would actually help potentially reduce, or rather reduce their operational and capital expenditure, and that could also indirectly benefit the financial health of the operator in the service sector.
Mr. Agarwal, we did hear your opening remarks and you lauded the government on these reforms. I do understand what the industry takes away from it, but when it comes to the PLI scheme and the benefits that one is expected to get out of it, how are you taking some of those announcements, and also the demand for 4G and 5G? Are we ready to cater to that? Because there's lots of infra development that needs to be done, as you and everybody had pointed out initially. The domestic sourcing has to go up many-fold. So I want to understand from you, as you represent Sterlite Technologies, which is into this business in a big way, how are you responding to all of this?
Swati, I see all of this as sort of evolution that the sector is going through. So I'm extremely glad that we are talking digital. So telecom has morphed into digital. And for the first time, we are kind of segregating out infrastructure from services. And we are all realizing the fact that infrastructure requires investment, infrastructure requires innovation. So what Mr. Rao talked about, the fact that the fact that there is more liquidity and cash flow available, that cash flow can get into the infrastructure part, which can be reinvested into the business. And he also mentioned the fact that it's getting accompanied with a focus on creating a manufacturing ecosystem out of India with the PLI scheme. So I see the PLI scheme very much in the right direction. And if you see, that is getting combined with what is happening on the technology end. So what Parag spoke about, virtualization, and the decision on spectrum sharing and slicing. So directionally, I see all of this exactly in the right direction. But we have to appreciate the challenges which are continuing to be in front of us in terms of financial health, in terms of the fact that we got to deploy these towers, which are going to be 10x, as Mr. Rao pointed out, and engaging on the national broadband mission with the corporators, with the city side. So the financial aspect of the sector, the rights of deploying the infrastructure, as well as on the supply side, making sure that there is enough supply ecosystem continuing to be from the country on the IPR front, on the chip front, on the technology front, and there is enough impetus for us to not only meet the country's requirement but export from there. So I would agree with Akhil that these have been transformational impacts, but is it the end of the road? No. It's been a great step forward, and the great part is all of us are talking the same language. It's not us versus the government, or the government needs to do that. I think everyone realizes that there is opportunity, and this is the path that we need to traverse together.
We are here to stay. The good thing is we've started the journey, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. We can see the demand for it. The investments industry is geared up, as we've heard from the industry talking about no shying away from investments. But the business plan has to be robust, viable, and something that works out well for everybody. So there is a lot that telecom sector is here to see. It's just the beginning, digital infrastructure, and we will see that driving the digital India. Thank you very much.